No, phone is tripped. One more time. Hi, I am Segev Dekanik, and I am an associate for the Advertising and E-commerce Law Practice Group at GRSM. The FTC has declared July Made in the USA month and has made it clear that it will be devoting a lot of resources in the coming months to increase enforcement and ensure that companies comply with the FTC rules regarding labeling products as made in the USA. Now, the FTC rule, Made in the USA labeling rule, says that it is unfair and deceptive practice to label or advertise a product as made in the United States unless three things are fulfilled. Firstly, the final assembly must be performed in the United States. Secondly, all significant processing occurs in the United States. And thirdly, all or virtually all of the components of the product are made and sourced from the United States. That means that not only must you manufacture and build your product in the United States, but all ingredients used for the product must be sourced from the country. This means that even if you yourself, in your home in Washington, D.C., the United States capital, knitted a wool sweater, if that wool came from anywhere other than a United States sheep or farm, you cannot market your sweaters as made in the United States. Now, this labeling rule applies to all products advertised or sold in the United States, including sold or advertised online. It also applies to claims that range from made 100% in the United States or even simply manufactured in the USA. The FTC has found that even language that says, manufactured requires is deceptive unless you explicitly state that not all of your products are sourced from the United States. Now, while a product with foreign source components can still be advertised as assembled in the United States to be compliant with the FTC rules, you still have to have sufficiently assembled the product in the US. The FTC kind of used this term of art called simple screwdriver assembly, which simply put means that if all you need to do is screw drive a couple pieces together or build a thing as if it's Legos, you can't claim it was assembled in the United States. The FTC can even fine implied made in the USA claims. They've defined that kind of broadly, but generally, if the sense of the advertisement is that the product was made in the United States, it could be labeled as deceptive advertising. There's potential liability if your ad simply features an American flag, or if you reference your headquarters or factories in the United States without sufficiently clarifying that the product is not sourced from only U.S. materials or it's not fully manufactured in the United States. Returning to our knitted sweater example, you run the risk of violating the FTC Made in the USA rule if your ad refers to how each homemade sweater is made in the United States capital without clarifying that the wool is not sourced from the United States. Violating the FTC's Made in the USA rule can open you up to civil liability and civil penalties by the FTC. It can even open you up to potential class action liability. Also, don't forget, some states have their own Made in the USA rules, and these rules are not preempted by the federal FTC rule, meaning you could, if you're marketing or advertising in certain states, you could be obligated to abide by both the FTC's Made in USA standard and also that relevant states. For example, California's Made in USA rule requires advertisers to maintain records to show that 95% of the product they're advertising comes from USA ingredients before advertising Made in USA. As you can tell, the FTC's rule is very broad, and generally there's very strict regulations on what can be defined as Made in the USA. Therefore, it's really important that you ensure you are compliant with this law before you start advertising your products. As a result, you should always review these laws and also consult with an attorney before making any advertising claims that your product is made in the USA. I hope you found these tips helpful, and we at GRSM wish you all the success with your e-commerce business. Thank you, and have a great day.